In this video, we'll talk about how to navigate through and inspect the nests in your job. So in this job I have 4 nests right now. You can just click a nest tab in order to go to that nest. There's also arrows that appear when you hover over the edges here. You can use this to page through. You can hover over any tab to get a little thumbnail image of that nest. And these nest tabs can also be dragged and dropped in order to reorder the nests in the job. So right now I have 4 nests, and this will be output as 4 separate NC files, and the first nest would be file number 1. But if I want to move this to the first position, you could just click the tab and drag it, and just drop it to reorder the nests. For certain nests, there's a cut number of times shown in the status bar that's greater than 1. So this nest says cut 2 times. In ProNest, instead of creating additional duplicate nests with duplicate NC files, ProNest changes the number of times cut for the nest. So when this nest is output, there will only be a single CNC file created, and there's no indication in that file that the nest should be cut more than once. Instead, that information is provided in reports so that the machine operator knows how many times to run the NC program for that nest. So this nest right here is cut 2 times. When I look at the nest report for this particular nest, it will say that it should be cut twice. But these other nests are only cut once. So you can see the difference down there in the status bar. So by default, ProNest will always try to cut nests the maximum number of times. This is something you can turn on and off in your AutoNest settings. So I'll take a real quick look in settings. On the AutoNest settings page, there's a setting to cut each nest the maximum number of times. If you turn that off, the cut number of times will always be set to 1 for all nests in the job after automatic nesting. Okay, this is also something you can click and then change manually. There's an option to clear a nest. When you do that, all the parts on the nest will be returned to the part list, and it leaves the plate behind. There's also an option to delete nest. When you do this, all the parts on the nest are returned to the part list and the plate is removed. So that nest goes away entirely. And then another tool we have in ProNest for inspecting nests is the Nest Properties dialog. So click the Size button in the status bar. Okay, this will open the Nest Properties dialog, and this gives you some basic information about the nest. So dimension, material, number of parts on the nest. There's also some utilization figures here. This gives you an idea of how efficiently parts are nested. And then there's some costing information down below as well. If you ever have any questions about how any of this stuff is calculated, just open the help. And then the relevant help topic will show up, and it contains descriptions of each one of these fields in here and how they're calculated.